It's going from bad to worse for Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed Shadows. A Japanese political aide has claimed that the debacle and the changing of Japanese history and culture could escalate into, quote, a diplomatic incident. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Also, hit that like button. Let's beat the YouTube algorithm and get more eyes on this video. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And we have this Japanese political aide. This was first reported by Mark Kern, aka Grums, on X. And he detailed that a Japanese political aide says that the game and its false depiction of Japanese history, culture, and aesthetics, primarily revolving around the depiction of Yasuke as a legendary samurai, could result in a diplomatic incident. Grums posted this on X. He says, letters are being sent with questions to the Japanese Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry. He added, while the government have not taken action yet, they are waiting for final release of the game to decide, and there is mounting pressure in Japan to address the issue, with Ubisoft portraying false information to Japanese children. So there is a video of this Japanese political aide here that you can watch. You can change the closed captioning and switch it to English so you get an auto translate there. With the machine translation. I did use that for portions of this video. However, if you go to this post here on X, you can see that Grums did indeed include photos of a translation as well. It is not the same as the machine translation. So let's kind of go over what these questions are that this political aide sent to these various government bodies in Japan. The first one says this. It has been pointed out that Mr. Thomas Lockley, Associate Professor of Foreign Languages, Faculty of Law at Nihon University, wrote a book about Yasuke's story, which he created from his own imagination and spread the contents of the book as historical fact all over the world, and that this is a movement to make a fabricated history the truth of the world without many Japanese people even knowing about it. Please tell us the government's option on this point and its future policy. This was a question sent to Japan's Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The second question reads thus. Assassin's Creed Shadows, a new game being developed by the French game company Ubisoft, is set in the Sengoku period of Japan, and Yasuke appears as the main character. This game company has been taken over by people of the political correctness movement, and from the pre-release interview footage, the disrespect for Japan is blatant. The content of the game that has been partially released has also been distorted and grossly disrespectful of Japanese culture, history, and Japanese people. For example, in an interview, a person in charge of the grotesque decapitation scene said death was a common occurrence in Japan at the time, and most people died by having their heads neatly cut off. I would like to know the government's views on this matter and its future policy. And then the third question here states this. If it were a game made by a private company, there would be no need to be so concerned, but it has been announced that it was, quote, based on Japanese historical facts. We saw this in an interview that I think it's the game director gave to Xbox Wire. That's exactly what he said. He was actually saying that he was trying to teach people about Japanese history through the game, or that they would learn about Japanese history through the game. Nevertheless, the question goes on, and if this goes viral, people all over the world will start to believe it, which I think is extremely malicious. In fact, the following message has been released. The Brazilian embassy in Japan publicly announced on Facebook that Yasuke was Japan's first black samurai, and that Yasuke was brought to Japan in 1579 and became a hero. He linked to this Brazilian embassy in Japan's Facebook post, and then concluded what he sent to them, saying, please let us know the government's views on this matter and future policy. You can see this post here from the Brazilian embassy in Japan's Facebook that he did indeed link in his inquiry to these various Japanese government bodies. And so if you want to read that, you can. I'll have the link in the description below. So then he kind of talked about the responses that he received from these various government bodies. And I used YouTube's machine translation for this. And this is the first response he received from the first question. He said, in general terms, if there is any suspicion that the content is contrary to deduction reading, careful measures should be taken. So it does seem like that they will be reviewing this game and looking at it, and there's a possibility that there might be some kind of government action taken against the game. Obviously, they're not saying that they are going to. They're just saying if there is any suspicion that the contrary is contrary. And I think this is a translation issue, and I'm not really sure exactly what they're trying to say here, but maybe they're trying to say if it is contrary to the truth, to the actual historical record. The political aide then went on and said, he also detailed that this game is currently undergoing ethical review, so it has not been officially released, so it will not be published as a separate game. So again, I think there's a little bit of a translation issue here with the machine translation, but it does indeed seem like one of these government bodies is indeed still reviewing the game. It is going and undergoing an ethical review, so they're not really ready to kind of issue any kind of statement, given the fact that it is undergoing this process, and they'll probably release that review maybe when they release the game or whatever the review comes out. That'll be kind of their statement rather than issuing a separate statement here to this inquiry. I'm hoping that's what it sounds like. That's how it reads to me. Again, could be a translation issue here. And then so we did get another response from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This response said it is not possible for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to respond because it is a game-related matter and has nothing to do with diplomacy. However, he went on to say this, and I think this is kind of his own reasoning here. I don't think this is official from any of the government agencies. At least that's how I kind of took it when I was watching the machine translation and how he's explaining it in the video. But he said this, but after receiving the response from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there was a phone call. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has responded that it is just a game that has nothing to do with diplomacy, but the matter has become quite large and there is a possibility that it could escalate into a diplomatic issue. I said that there is a possibility, but at this current stage, it is just a game and I cannot give an answer. So I think that they got the statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then it sounds like there was a phone call as well that said that there's the possibility that it could escalate into an issue with diplomacy, and it could escalate into a diplomatic issue. But at this stage, it's just not there yet. So the person cannot actually provide a satisfactory answer to the question just because of kind of where the game is at in its development stage, and obviously in that review process, etc. And just kind of where it's at, kind of, I guess, in the social awareness of Japan. And so then we also had this later in the video. He also indicated he's requested Japan's National Diet Library to confirm what is and is not true regarding the history of Yasuke. So not only did he send these questions to these various Japanese government bodies, but he got the responses and shared those with us. But he also noted that he did indeed send in a request to Japan's National Diet Library, asking them to clarify the true history regarding Yasuke. This is what he said. Regarding the request to the National Diet Library, it would be helpful if you could check the information in the primary source about Yasuke in Thomas Lockley's book, and then summarize the information that is clearly wrong after checking these two. He said that he would receive a response to this inquiry by July 31st. So we are seeing more movement here from Japanese politicians, Japanese political aides, and Japanese governing bodies. Remember, there was kind of a politician said he might bring this up into the Diet earlier this month. I think the Japanese politician is Satoshi Hamada. So there is more movement happening here against Ubisoft and against Assassin's Creed Shadows from Japanese politicians and their aides. And now we're seeing government bodies actually beginning to investigate claims brought to them and answering questions brought to them about the truth behind this game. So it's not looking good for Ubisoft, for Assassin's Creed Shadows. The Japanese are escalating this to possible government censure of the game due to its false portrayal of Japanese history, culture, and society, and just even the people that it is representing in the game. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.